truly my home. The urban core was raised at 27th and Prospect, thereabouts. One interesting fact is I actually attended 10 schools in 12 years. Um, and not because I was a bad kid, I think. I think my parents tend to have bounced around a lot. And so every time they moved, of course, we had to change schools. So I a plus for that is 10 schools in 12 years means I had a lot of friends all over Kansas City and Grandview. Um, let's see, I graduated from Northeast High School. I was at Lincoln Academy for a while, and I had friends at Northeast, and so I had to beg my parents to allow me to go to Northeast, which I am grateful for. Uh, I met lots of people, different nationalities, ethnic backgrounds, and I think it caused me to be more well-rounded than if I stayed in a predominantly Black school or predominantly white school, because the world is well-rounded. So let's see, after high school, I had no intentions on going to college. Uh, I wanted to be a police officer,
Oh.
and my dad said no. And then I thought, well, I'll just join the military. And my dad said no. Um, and I say my dad because our mom passed early on. And so my dad raised the three girls. And yeah, we weren't going to the military or being police officers or anything that required us not to wear a dress. Uh, and I started working for a law firm. It was called the Popham Law Firm the summer after I graduated college. And it was an all white law firm that took very good care of me and said, you will go to college. And here are all the reasons why. Even if it takes you 10 years, you will go to college. You'll work here and you'll go to college part time. And I said to one of the attorneys, I said, well, man, in 10 years, I'll be like 25, 26. And he said, well, how will you be if you don't go to college? And I'm like, well, yeah. And so that kind of started my trajectory toward education and what I wanted to do in life. I think a lot of kids out here, they just don't know what they want to do, and they don't have that guidance to say, try this or do this. If you don't like it, try something else, but at least try.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the law firm for all through college. I got married in college. 2 years later, we started a family. And I was with that law firm for about 16 years, through college, through raising a family, until I got a call from the senator. And if you want to stop me and ask more questions, I can
So,
just stop there.
no, thank you. Thank you for that story. And you've answered the first question, and it was, where did you grow up and what schools did you attend? And so quite a story, quite a story.
Yeah,
So thanks for sharing that. And I want to also remind the audience that they can feel free to put any questions um, in the chat, in the Q&A rather, and I'll look at that and respond to those as well. So I'll start the questions, and you actually started.
sure.
So how did you come to work for the former United States Senator Claire McCaskill?
So again, I was at the law firm from which there were two. There was the Popham Law Firm and then Hubbard and Kurtz law office, which branched off. And so I went with uh, Hubbard Kurtz, John Kurtz, and Senator McCaskill were friends. And so while I was working there, she called him and said she was looking for some diversity for her campaign and wanted to know if he had someone that she could borrow when she started her Senate campaign. And I actually met her when I was 12 years old through John Kurtz. And so he asked me, he said, do you want to go volunteer? I'm like, I don't know government, didn't do well in government. I'm not sure this is a good fit for me. And again, he's always try it. If you don't like it, come back to the office.
Mm-hmm.
And I never went back. So uh, I helped Claire run her first Senate campaign. And once she was elected, she asked if I would stay on to get the office set up until they found someone. And again, I never left. It was the best experience. She is one of the smartest women I know.
Mm-hmm.
She's she's very direct. She's very, here's what you need to do to succeed. I mean, um, not just for white people, but Black people too. She was very diverse
Mm-hmm.
and very caring about what happens to all of us in the future. So that's how I ended up with the senator.
Okay. So what were your biggest accomplishments working in the Senate?
Wow, getting her elected, one, and I want to say Obama, because it gave us an opportunity to work with then Senator Obama to get him elected. And I had two young kids at the time, 12 and 10, 11 and no, 10 and 13 at
Mm-hmm.
the time. And again, no politics. They're really good kids, but they had the opportunity to engage with the Senator Obama at the time, have conversations with, to the point where he was telling them to take out the trash when he came to the campaign office. And it helped shape my two sons. And so, I want to say that it's about the world and all things great. But for me, it was setting the stage so my sons could succeed.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's
So
awesome.
that Obamacare, getting Obama elected, um, learning all the things, how
Mm-hmm.
important staff is compared to your congressional person. People don't understand that your staff does the work for your senator, for your congressman. They're
Absolutely.
down in the trenches getting the work done. So when you call your senator and say, I need this, they count on us to get that done. So they have those answers. Uh, so now I tell everybody, don't discount staff,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they're
Absolutely.
your conduit to that congressperson.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, quite an accomplishment there working in the Senate.
Yes.
So now fast forward to where you are today, in the Area Transportation Authority. How did you come to work for the ATA?
So when the senator did not get reelected, I knew in my heart that I still wanted to serve. I still wanted to do something to help people. And what could that be? And for KCATA, it's kind of weird. My great uncle, was one of the first African American drivers of KCATA. And then another cousin came along behind him. So growing up, it was kind of iconic. Not to mention, I took the bus from 27th and Prospect to 63rd and Prospect every day to go to my grandparents' house to go to school. Every day I was on that bus, and it was fun. There were other kids on the bus. There were people in the community on the bus that made sure that the kids got where they needed to go. So KCATA has always been in my heart and a part of my family. So when the opportunity presented itself, uh, I actually interviewed for a government relations department, did not get the job. They hired someone else and then called me back and asked me if I would consider the marketing department. Nothing about marketing, but I could hear my godfather saying, just get in. If you like it, stay. If you don't, leave. So I accepted the marketing position and then presented a just a killer government relations program that I wanted to start for KCAT, and my lights just went out. Um, uh, Presented a new way of looking at government relations and how I could help them get funding, because I had those relationships already in DC and in Jeff City, and they took a chance and said, "Yeah, let's do it." So I became the executive director of government relations before we changed CEOs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So now I am chief of staff.
Exciting. Wow. Wow. You probably have the lights if you're not moving, they go out.
They do.
We have the same lights. So no problem there. Um, Terri, we have heard about zero fare in the news lately. Can you explain to the audience what zero fare is and whether or not you believe it's sustainable for the KCATA?
Ooh, how many people are in this call? Um, um, Sure. Zero Fare was a program that was implemented right before COVID with the Prospect Max. And what we said was we had this new line on Prospect, the big red bus that came down to be more efficient, more effective, on time, on task, get people where they needed to be a lot quicker than your local blue bus routes. And we had enough funds in the budget that would allow us to keep that zero fare, for about a year when COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And the federal government said, well, there's COVID. I think everybody went to zero fare. It was cleaner. It was an easier way to get people on and moving, and not try and transfer the COVID or whatever. But once COVID ended and people went back to fares, our prior CEO said, well, no, we want to keep zero fare. And so did our mayor. Our mayor, Quinn Lucas, actually received an award for having zero fare. The problem was nobody really did the due diligence to see how zero fare would affect our community moving forward past COVID, and how would it be sustainable? And right now it's not sustainable. And I understand that it's convenient and people like it, but the backside of that is it's really more harmful than good. And it's very political, so I don't want to say a whole lot about it.
Understandable.
I want to make sure people understand they're listening that the 3/8 cent sales tax that we voted on, that was not for zero fare. No one should have ever said that was for zero fare. And I heard that later. That was to maintain the service you currently have. COVID money is paying for zero fare. The COVID money is gone. I'm not sure how we sustain zero fare. So that's kind of where we are right now. Trying to make sure that we can be here 5 years, 10 years, 50 years from now, because transportation is important. It's like water, gas, and lights. These are things you need to go to the grocery store, to go to school, to go to church. There are a lot of reasons you need transportation. Maybe you just don't want a car and you want to get around that way. We still want people to be able to access it, even though there will be a cost at some point. But in the past, we had veterans got on for free, students got on for free, city workers got on for free. If you could not afford a bus pass, we had programs for you to be able to access transportation. We're just saying we need to go back to that model, because that veteran that used to go to the VA to get his bus pass, VA could say, well, do you need some services? Do you need food? Do you need housing? Do you need medication? And assess that person and then give them a bus pass, versus now they just get on the bus and they're getting no service.
Okay.
So,
okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. As you know, we are a federally qualified health center. What is the ATA doing to assist, or what will they, or what can they do to assist with riders who may have mental health challenges?
Well, and I'm glad you asked that question. That's still a part of zero fare, because when you think about those wraparound services where we could send people to Swope, and Swope, you get, I'm not sure how you go about your transportation funding, but you get a grant for transportation, and then you issue out those bus passes so people can get back and forth to their appointments or to work or wherever. But you get to look at those people, you get to assess those people, you get to see what services they need. And they have to come to you in order to get that bus pass. Now they don't. Now they don't have to come to you. They don't have to see anybody. And they're just kind of out there. I think even with the homeless population, it's hurt them more than helped them, because they can't come see people like you to get some help and some services. They can just apparently stay on the bus and ride the bus all day.
Wow. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get back to that place, and we can work with Swope Services and all the other healthcare agencies to say, we want people to go to these appointments. They can have zero fare, but they're going to have to seek some assistance in order to get that.
Okay. Thank you for that. So again, I want to remind the audience that if you have questions, please go ahead and drop them into the Q&A section of the Zoom. So I'll go ahead and follow up with another question about mental health. How does the issues with mental health challenges or the riders who face mental health challenges correlate to protecting your drivers on the buses?
Also a very good question. We've had problems with retention with our operators. Some of our older operators are saying we can't function this way, and people they say, well, the bus isn't on time or it doesn't show up. That's because our operators have need mental health days too. They get all of the stress, and I don't feel, and I'll go talk to my CEO right after I get off this call to say, hey, we need to do this. But I have been talking to people saying, like someone with the Black Healthcare Coalition saying, how can we get someone to come to our campus and talk to our operators when they need, to take a deep breath and say, this is hard. Mm-hmm. Because you think about these operators that are operating, I don't know how much a bus weighs, a ton of equipment, and trying to look back and see who's having a nervous breakdown in the back, or who's fighting, or who needs some help, mm-hmm. while still trying to operate this bus. Mm-hmm. It is hard. We're not healthcare providers. We're not social workers. We pay our operators to operate a bus and function and focus on what's ahead of them, versus the mental challenges that they're having in the back. So it is hard. It's been hard on us. And we get brand new operators to come in and say, oh, I want to drive. I'm so excited. And then, 6 months later, they're like, I can't deal with this. So I hope that answered your question.
It did. But absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So Terri, what is the future of transportation in Kansas City beyond the buses?
Beyond the buses, I say all the time, I want to have world-class transit for a world-class city. Mm-hmm. Transit, it helps people that they don't even realize it. You own a restaurant, you're making $1 million a year, but somebody's working at that restaurant and somebody needs to get there. The car breaks down, the weather's bad. That bus is still going to be there to pick you up and get you to your appointments or wherever it is you need to be. That will never change. Mm-hmm. I do want to add a shameless plug to TOD and TOC, which is transit-oriented development, transit-oriented communities. Our future is going to be that. Our future is going to be trying to help people build around transit corridors. So when you bring the housing development and the businesses to Kansas City and you put them on a transit corridor, not only does it help that business, but it helps that community. It helps that school district. It helps that hospital. I mean, it's bigger than just a bus going up and down the street. Mm-hmm. It's so much bigger than that. And people are like, why are you guys doing development? We're doing development around transit corridors to bring people back to our city, to bring businesses to our city, to talk to those entities to say, if you build in our community, you're on a bus line and you'll get those workers. I love Panasonic is coming to Kansas, but they're going to DeSoto. Well, where's that work shed going to come from? Where's that workforce going to come from? Mm-hmm. It's going to require some of us getting on a bus.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's where the money is. That's where the jobs are. Mm-hmm. So I see a great future. We got World Cup coming, and I am prayerful that we'll have an ambassador program in place to make sure those people know, here's where you get on the bus, here's where you get off the bus, here's what it costs, you need directions, and kind of help with the mental challenges that are on certain streets to say, hey, if you're here to catch the bus, that's great. If you're not, I'm gonna need you to kind of move on. Or here's a card for Swope Health services if you need some services. But I am currently trying to put that program together. So definitely before World Cup, and not because of World Cup. It's because our city needs it.
Needs it, yeah.
We don't need. I love our police. I do, but sometimes you just need a de-escalator. Somebody to say, "Hey, I know you're having problems. How can I get you some help?" Versus handcuffs and a baton.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was actually my next question, and you answered it. How is the ATA preparing for the World Cup? So I'm glad to hear that, and not that you weren't preparing, but how excited you are about preparing for the World Cup beyond the World Cup.
And beyond. Absolutely. Our CEO, and that's Frank White the third. We started going to DC early on, saying, "Here are some of the resources our community needs when World Cup gets here," because a lot of our people aren't going to World Cup, but they still need a lot of resources. So that transit center, those streets, those lights, and all the security measures that come, those are things that we can use now, then, and beyond. And the government were like, "Hey, you guys are the first ones to come to DC and say, here are some things that we need for now, then, and beyond." And so they're listening to us, and I'm grateful for that. So hopefully some of those resource dollars will come to our community, and Frank and I are working really hard to make sure that happens.
Okay. I do have a question in the chat. How do you handle grievances from the public, and what is the time frame that it is addressed? And then the second part of that, do you contact the person with results of the grievance?
So I don't handle grievances. I know we do have a call center, and if that person would like to reach out to me and ask me any questions, I can go to that department and get those answers for that person. But I know we have a grievance department, and depending on what it is, it could be confidential or not. It just depends on the situation, how it's handled. If someone calls and says, "Hey, the bus didn't show up," we track all that back and say, well, either it did, it didn't, apologize, what can we do to help? I myself am trying to, sometimes answers are not what you want them to be. And it's not that we don't care. The answer is the answer. So I would rather them tell you the truth, and it'd be hard than not tell you the truth and you feel good, but the situation hasn't changed.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Again, if there are any other questions, please feel free to type them in the chat or in the Q&A, I'm sorry, and I can ask those for you.
And I see number 1 down there. I guess I can't click on that.
That was the one, yeah.
That was the one.
Okay. So, and we'll wait, we have plenty of time. So you told your story from the beginning, where you started and where you are today, which is amazing. You know, we have a group of people, and this is Black History Month, you know, as we all know, we're celebrating Black History Month, but as a woman and as a Black woman, what professional advice would you give to young African-American women starting out in their careers?
I would say try and work backwards. Where is it that you think you want to be? And start with that, and then figure out, well, what steps do I need to get there? I will tell you, in college, my major changed every semester. Every semester, I wanted to do something different. Until my senior year, and I said, I think I want a degree in African American Studies. And they were like, "Terri, you're going to need another semester of college in order to get that degree." I said, "Oh, no. What? How many credits do I have?" So I'll take that and run with it. College isn't for everybody. We all know that. And your dream, I went to an elementary school when I was with the senator's office, and in 5th grade, and I asked the kids, I said, who knows right now what they want to be when they grow up? Do you want to go to college? Who knows what you want to be? And like, they were like, "Oh, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a doctor." No one has said, "I want to be a transit CEO." Nobody said, "I want to be a chief of staff." That's because people don't know what the options are. When you don't know what the options are, you tend to stay in a box. And this is me rambling, but just wishful thinking for all of our kids. Think outside the box. When I came here, I was in marketing. I didn't think that I'd end up being the chief of staff. And again, when someone said, you do government relations, you bring the money home. Can you be a chief staff? And I'm like, no, because I know what I'm doing. I'm government relations. I'm good at it. I don't want to do that. I'll do it until you find somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then once I got in that space, I thought, well, okay, I can do this too. So don't limit yourself to what you think. Back to the fifth grade story, they're saying nurse or a doctor, but there was a group of boys giggling in the background, fifth grade boys giggling. And I said, y'all don't have dreams, aspirations? Is there anything y'all want to do? And one little girl said, well, he wants to be a rapper. I said, well, okay, because they don't care about government, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, rap for me. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, Miss Barr, I can't. And I said, well, why can't you? You just said that's what you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he would not, for the life of me, do anything for me. I said, you know what? Your opportunity, you never know where your opportunity is. I said, my cousin works with P. Diddy. So whenever I send people his way, they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid still would not perform for me. And they were like, he's so good. Take that chance. If it's something you want in life to do, take the chance. If you can sing, sing all the time. You
Yeah.
never know who's listening. If you're a poet, if you do hair, make sure your hair is done. So I'm like, yeah, I do hair. Like, I don't do hair. I was raised by my dad, so I'm normally in a ponytail or just wash and wear. But represent yourself. Show yourself how you want to be. People say it's dress down Friday. Why don't you have on jeans? Because what if the mayor calls? What if Congressman Cleaver calls? What if my pastor calls?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to present myself the way I want people to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids, I love them dearly. They, one of them has dreads. And I'm like, is that what you want people to see? You're trying to sell houses up north.
Mm-hmm.
No, they see a black man in dreads. They're not trying to buy a multi-million-dollar house from you. So what's the image that you want to portray? I love you, millennials. I love these kids. And I know you want to be yourself. I believe in the Crown Act. You see my hair.
Mm-hmm.
But you still need to present yourself how you want people to take you. If you don't want them to take you serious, don't dress serious.
Yeah.
You want to be a comedian? Be a comedian. Do that. Mm-hmm. But if you want something different, present yourself that way all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only is it's okay to change in midstream and down the stream and wherever with your career. And I appreciate that, because sometimes people believe that they can't change their mind, or they can't do something. And so thank you for that. And then the second part of that, I do agree, representation means a lot. If how do you want people to perceive you and see you? And that's what you have to display. Thank you so
still
much.
Has dreads. He still has dreads.
I have a son that has dreads, so
they're beautiful. He's beautiful, but the environment is just, it is what it is. So
yeah. Well, on a personal note, I always say, when are you cutting your hair?
I know.
I don't know, but anyway.
Well, mine said, Mom, you kept my hair braided the whole time I was little. Like, you kept it braided. What did you expect when I grew up? And I'm like, well, okay.
But they also have their own personalities too. And so we have to accept and I accept and respect that, for my son and anybody out there. But I appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us today. I don't have any other questions. Would you like to wrap up and share any additional information that you think you would like us to hear or know?
So what I did not mention earlier is I sat on the Hickman Middle School Board for a very short amount of time. Mm-hmm. And some of the, I don't want to say controversy, but some of the issues were, why do you want to sit on the school board when you don't have kids in the district? Talking about our school district and our children and how people end up where we are. I am a product of the Kansas City, Missouri School District. I am proud of that. I went to the community college. I am proud of that. I went to MKC. I am proud of that. Did I move to the Northland when my children were of age? I absolutely did. Um, and I caught flack for that. Like, you went us on school board, but your kids weren't educated in the Kansas City, Missouri school district. First of all, I had to do what was best for my children. But once my children graduated and moved out and started their own families, I was able to move back to the community and start helping people that can't or don't want to. School boards are very important, and I wish everybody would support their school district, their school board, support their children. Teachers have a hard job, and just like bus operators, we're trained to educate your kids, but now teachers are going to school. Not only do we have to educate, but we have to find clothing for them. We have to find housing for them. They don't have the medications that they need, and I commend Swope Services and all the wraparound services that are offered to our community, because they are important, and we do want to support them because it's you guys that support our kids. It's you guys that support those teachers and those communities that need it. Well, I did not move out of Kansas City School District. I did move out of the Hickman Middle School District, which is why I had to leave. But I just want to make sure that people hear the importance of health services and how important your jobs are. And Black people tend to not want to go get treatment. You don't want to go to therapy. You don't want to go see a counselor. But I'm sure we have many people at KCATA that if someone came and said, hey, let's talk, they would talk and they would feel better. I have a couch in my office. People are like, why do you have a couch in your office? I said, because sometimes people just want to come in here and take a deep breath and say, Miss Barr, can I talk to you? And I wanted it as comfortable as it could possibly be, because I can't drive a bus. They won't let me. They wouldn't let me get on the simulator. I'm like, we're always hiring bus operators. We're always hiring mechanics. There are more jobs within an industry than people realize. I think, again, you want to do hair, sign up to do business with KCATA. We could have a Black History Month where people come in and say, let me show you what you can do with your hair, your nails. We just had a fair last Friday, and we had Black businesses come in and tell us what they did and set up booths. And just don't underestimate agencies and what you can do and what you want to do. Reach out to them, people, give those ideas. And any young people out there, share your ideas. I don't want to say we're old, but we're probably older than you. And you bring that new idea to these agencies, be it Swope Health, be it the bus company, Ford.
Yeah.
Bring it. Bring your best game.
Okay. I have a comment, and I'll go ahead and read it. And this is true. This is a true comment, and I agree with it. Natural hair is professional and beautiful. Other cultures do not change their natural hair for professionalism. And so I agree with that. And I don't know if you want to comment on that or not, but.
I do want to comment on it.
Okay.
And so I'm going to say probably between I was able to get my hair permed my senior year in high school. My father finally said, okay, get your hair permed. And from high school, and I'll tell you how old I am, and that was in 1985, I was able to relax my hair and I was happy. And I think I looked the part. But when I became more confident in myself and who I was, I stopped relaxing my hair. People are like, oh, my dad still says to me, are you going to work like that? My dad says that to me. Like this, y'all. This is me getting in the shower and getting out and putting the product and going to work. I was told at a law firm I could not do this back in the 80s and the 90s. And so, yes, I am proud of my heritage. I am proud of my hair. I'm proud of my son's hair. My point was, know your environment, know your audience. And if you want something, you do by any means necessary what you have to do to get there. If I want to dye my hair blonde, I'm already here. They know my work. They know my work ethic. They know what I can produce. So if I come in here with purple hair that's dreaded, they're like, well, she's going to get the job done. But if I interviewed that way, chances are I would have never gotten the opportunity. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Back then, probably years ago, would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think it's more, we're more accepting now. And again, to the question or the comment, I agree and we agree that natural hair is professional and beautiful. And so we, don't want to say that that's not the case. And so I appreciate the comment and I appreciate Terri, your response to that. Greatly appreciate your response to that. And thank you for the comment.
I love the comment. Trust and believe. My boys give it just as much as I do. Like if they don't like me, mom, then they're. But you can have dreads and still have your hair neat.
And be
You
professional.
you can
Absolutely,
do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so thank you. There was a comment to say thank you. And I don't have any other questions. Again, I appreciate you. We appreciate you joining. I will say you were speaking about Swope and the services. I will say, and I can probably speak for, I'll say all of Swope Health, that we are proud of the service that we provide to the community. And so thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate that.
Thank you too. And I lived in that area, so I was there. My children were there, so I know how awesome you guys are, and that and whatever Duran tells me to do, I do. So, um, I love him dearly. I love you guys, and if there's anything that we at KCATA can do for you guys, please do reach out. We do want those partnerships.
Okay, great. Well, this will end our session today. And again, Terri, thank you very much. And Swope Associates, thank you for joining. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.